Los Angeles Chargers beat the Kansas City Chiefs 29-28 last night. And it really just comes down to, did the Chargers win it or did the Kansas City Chiefs lose it? And I hate using stuff like that, using that kind of analogy, because you know what? I mean, if a team won, give them props, give them credit. And I got to give them some credit. Phillip Rivers ball threw for over 300 yards. Mike Williams out of Clemson, second year in the league, showed out last night. But everybody's acting like he's Jerry Rice because he had 7 receptions for 76 yards. That's a debate for another day. But he did show. I had a couple of touchdowns, no doubt about it. The two-point conversion, gutsy call by Coach Anthony Lynn, deserves a lot of credit for that, no doubt about it. The defense showed up, neutralized Tyreek Hill for the Kansas City Chiefs. I get all of that. I really, really do. But I find myself thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs and wondering what the hell was going on with them last night. You got a 14-point lead, and you let it evaporate inside of 5 minutes. How the hell that happened? You're in the first half. You're 4th and 3 in Los Angeles Chargers territory. You decide to punt. That ain't the Andy Reid I know and love. That's not the Andy Reid I watched coach the Philadelphia Eagles for 14 years. That's not the Andy Reid we've been watching all season long, coaching an offense that has still not scored less than 26 points in any game, any of these 14 games this season. All of a sudden, you brave, you sticking out your chest, you got bravado, and suddenly you wilt beneath the pressure on Thursday Night Football? It's this kind of stuff that just gets on my last damn nerves. See, my definition of choking, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very simple. When you're a scrub, you're not a choker. Let me be very, very clear about that. You're just a scrub. See, if you can't play, you can't play. There's nothing wrong with that. You just are what you are. You're not what you're not. But my definition of choking is when you do something all year long, when you do something all the time, and then the pressure mounts, and the time and the moment arrives for you to show who you are and what you're made of, and suddenly you can't do what you've always been doing. And the only thing to point to is the pressure. It's Thursday night. It's the Chargers at 10-3 coming into the game, nipping at the heels of the Kansas City Chiefs, knowing that Kansas City has to win this game if they desperately want to hold on for the lead in the AFC West. They still have it because they got the tiebreaker, mind you. They're 4-1 in the division. San Diego's 3-2 in the division. So by virtue of the tiebreaker, if both of them win out their next 2 games in the regular season, the Kansas City Chiefs still win the division crown and still get a top 2 seed in the AFC, while San Diego would drop to a 5th seed, get the wild card spot, and they'd have to go on the road throughout the playoffs. We get all of that. But if you are the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid, knowing you don't have Kareem Hunt, knowing that you pretty much got to rely on Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, and you still go out there and you still take a 14-0 lead, and in the end you still got a 28-14 lead, and somehow, some way you allow that to evaporate, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. I understand that Phillip Rivers is reminding everybody that he warrants Hall of Fame consideration, even though he's missed the playoffs 7 times out of the last 8 years. We know what Phillip Rivers brings to the table. I get all of that. And I'm standing here in New York. You damn well know I know what Phillip Rivers brings. Because even though Eli Manning once upon a time did that, he damn sure can't be accused of doing that this season, excluding the last 3 games. And don't get me started on the New York Jets. I mean, you talk about cops having APBs out on people. We've had an APB out on a quarterback for the New York Jets for years up until this season. So we get it. We understand what Phillip Rivers brings to the table is undeniable. And them 2 passes to Travis Benjamin, can't say enough about it. On that final game-winning drive, got to give credit where credit is due. We get all of that. But I find myself sitting here thinking about the Kansas City Chiefs and why they blew it. And why am I thinking so much about it? Because I've been just fixated on Patrick Mahomes and that high-powered offense going to the Super Bowl so I don't have to see Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in another damn Super Bowl. I've been fixated on it. But I didn't know that Kareem Hunt was going to do what he did to get himself exiled from the league. I didn't realize that Andy Reid was going to forget to be aggressive when it really, really counted. And I certainly didn't realize how good, how exceptionally well balanced the Los Angeles Chargers are this year. Got to give credit where credit is due. Because the reason why this subject is so pertinent is because now we've got to look at the AFC with an entirely different vision. I thought that Kansas City and New England were on a collision course for the AFC Championship. And to be quite honest with you, I'm still believing that, but I'm sort of holding on to it for dear life, like hanging on a cliff based on my fingertips alone. I don't have a firm grasp of this because what I saw from Kansas City last night gives me cause to pause. And then I got to look at the rest of the AFC. I got to think about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the fact that you're going up against the New England Patriots this weekend. Game of the weekend as far as I'm concerned. And I got to think about the fact that New England has beaten you 5 straight times, but the Steelers are on the brink of a playoff elimination. And having lost to New England the last 5 straight times, the 3 times they faced in the postseason, with Tom Brady seemingly having their number, with Rob Gronkowski certainly having their number, with the New England Patriots having added Josh Gordon, who's a big receiver, to go up against those relatively miniature safeties and corners with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who look like they're trying to win some small man's contest every week. I'm wondering about the Steelers because I don't trust their defense. I'm not sold on the Texans because after winning 9 straight, you go up against Andrew Luck in Indy and all of a sudden you can't get it done. I'm looking at Andrew Luck in the Indianapolis Colts with Andrew Luck, with the exception of wetting the bed a couple of weeks ago where he couldn't score a point against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pretty much every game before that, the 8 or 9 games before that, the man threw at least 3 touchdowns a game. I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens creeping up in the seams. Even though they lost to Kansas City last weekend, I'm looking at Lamar Jackson quarterback this team instead of Joe Flacco quarterbacking this team, knowing that he's not relying on just his arm to win a game for you, but his feet as well. And I'm wondering about that. And then I look at the Chargers, as well balanced as they are, with Bosa having returned, with this kid Derwin James out of Florida State being an absolute stud and a superstar in the making, with Ingram rushing along with Bosa, wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks. And then I'm looking at an offense without Melvin Gordon for the game, without Keenan Allen after the second quarter, still managing to come back from a 14-point deficit and close the deal and beat Kansas City. An offensive juggernaut led by one of the best receivers in football in Tyreek Hill, who was suddenly neutralized. And I'm saying to myself, okay, what can happen here? I guess I got to give Miami some kind of outside shot. Why? Because I look at the Miami Dolphins and I say, you know what? As lucky as it was with the double lateral that they put forth against the New England Patriots in that 34-33 win last week, it was still a damn victory. And all of a sudden, the AFC picture looks a bit convoluted. It's not as surefire and definitive as we once thought it was. There are things to consider here. And I got to pay attention to it. And now that I look at that, I'll transition over to the NFC. Because guess what? We do have Chicago playing Green Bay this weekend. We do have the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Los Angeles Rams this weekend. We do have Carson Wentz with a fractured, what is it, fractured vertebrae in his back. And, oh, by the way, not that I'm some kind of back doctor or anything. I mean, after all, my back has been hurt a little bit lately. You know, maybe I need to go see a damn doctor. But I got to tell you something. I'm not so sure about these folks right now. They tell you a disc in your back, you can't necessarily cure it. But I lay on one of those incline or inverted machines, lay upside down for a little while, my back feels just fine. But then again, I ain't a quarterback. Getting whiplash or getting my neck snapped because somebody's blindsided me because my left tackle forgot to block. That would be Carson Wentz. And they're saying he's got a fractured vertebrae, but it doesn't need surgery. It just needs rest. Really? Would any of y'all feel comfortable hearing that? It doesn't need, listen, you got a fractured vertebrae in the back, but oh no, it doesn't need to be operated on. It doesn't require surgical repair. It just needs rest. Really? I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that at all. So as far as I'm concerned, he's out. Nick Foles will be in. Whether or not that means something for the Eagles, probably not. Their chance was last week against the Dallas Cowboys, and they got robbed. That was a fumble at the beginning of the game by the Cowboys. It should have been given to the Eagles. That was a touchdown near the end of the day, near the end of the game by Goddard. It should have been a touchdown there. They had the ball earlier. Dallas probably would have scored again, but then the Eagles would have got it back, and they would have did their thing. Nevertheless, it is what it is. We got New Orleans and the Rams as the top two teams. We got the Chicago Bears, our third team. My man Louis Riddick, who's coming on the show a little bit later, has predicted the Chicago Bears are going to the Super Bowl because their monsters of the midway defense has returned. It's resurfaced, and they're going to wreak havoc throughout the NFC playoffs. Dallas is a team that you got to consider because in all likelihood they're going to win the NFC East. So that's your fourth team. Your fifth team is the Seattle Seahawks. And what they're going to be able to do, because they'll probably make it as a fifth seed. And then on the outside looking in, it's the Minnesotas of the world. It's the Carolinas of the world. It's the Philadelphia Eagles of the world. They have an outside shot at that sixth and last seed within the NFC playoff picture. Am I sold? Am I a believer? Hell no. And oh, by the way, since I'm in New York, let me bring up the Giants. You know what? I don't recall being more annoyed by a New York team winning in my life. I mean, you got to be the stupidest people imaginable. So in other words, you stink up the bed. You're not going anywhere. You're on a fast track to nowhere. You're the New York Giants. And suddenly you want to go on a winning streak. Suddenly you want to go on a winning streak. When losing helps position you for a higher draft pick that you need and require to help this team in the future, now you're going to win. But when you needed to win, we couldn't buy one. Couldn't buy one. Now we want to have all of this chitter-chattering going on. Oh, Saquon Barkley's the best. Well, duh. That's why he was drafted number 2 overall. He's got tree trunks for legs. He's got good body mass on him. He ain't that tall, so lower center of gravity definitely works in his favor. He can juke you better than anybody that I've seen in recent memory, comparable to the Barry Sanders of the world. Saquon Barkley's special. Quarterback's not special. Offensive line is not special. Odell Beckham Jr. is out, so guess what? The receivers ain't that damn special. Sterling Shepard, he's good, but come on now. So I'm just saying, what's wrong with losing? Listen, I am not an advocate of tanking, of throwing games. But there are exceptions to every rule in every moment. And this season would require that. I think it would qualify as an exception. The New York Giants should have been losing every chance they get. They should have put a bunch of Pop Warner players up in there if they had to. Anything to avoid winning the damn football game. So you can make sure. And guess why I say that? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at this kid, Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame, that got picked up 6th overall by Indianapolis, if I remember correctly. 5th or 6th. I think it was 6th. Look at what this man has done to buffer Indy's offensive line. Look at how well they have been playing because of it. Look at how well Andrew Luck has been protected. And look at the results that the Indianapolis Colts have reaped from it. So guess what? You don't have to get a star quarterback with a top 2, top 3, top 5 pick. If you position yourself to get a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, maybe you too can find that next elite offensive lineman. And as a result, that will buffer your running game. It might help your quarterback look better, which might help Odell Beckham Jr. look better. It's a chain reaction. But that is not what the New York Giants have elected to do, which makes me look at them and say, damn, here you go again. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, live from the rooftop, Pier 17, South Street, Seaport, Winterland. Got an ice skate ring up in here. Let me say this to y'all. You see me doing the show from here. If you're watching me on ESPN News right now, you do see me doing the show. And you don't have to say I look good. I know. But I will tell you this. You will never see me out there. You will never see me in an ice skating ring. Let me be very clear. I mean, the people here, thank you so much for having the Stephen A. Smith Show live, Pier 17, South Street, Seaport, rooftop, Winterland. I appreciate it. It's beautiful. And for those of you out there who like ice skating, this is the place to come to. It ain't, trust me, you'll love it up here. But I promise you, you will never see me on there. You will never see me on there. I believe in standing up straight. I don't believe in busting my tail in public, falling on my backside. Okay, I don't believe in that. Or my elbow or something. You understand? Because you know what? You got kids out there, and you know Stevie A love the kids. He sure does. So what will happen? I'm busy trying to save somebody else from busting their butt. And I'll end up falling hard and breaking something. It ain't happening. Roller skating, I'm down with. I could do that. You will never see me ice skating. You will never see that happen. Let me just throw that out there. Let me transition, while we're at it, to the NBA. And I'm not going to be cruel to folks in attendance by bringing up the New York Knicks. We're not going to do that today. We're not going to do that today. I will congratulate Spencer Dinwiddie for the Brooklyn Nets because he got a 3-year, $34 million extension, which he deserves. And I also want to tell New Yorkers, look out, because we've been so busy talking about the Knicks in free agency. Everybody's forgetting the potential of the Brooklyn Nets. They're going to have cap space, too, probably for 2 max players. And when you consider the young guns that they've got in their squad, along with what they could get in free agency, it might be the Brooklyn Nets that's the team we're talking about locally in New York, as opposed to the New York Knicks. I hope not. Because I grew up a Knicks fan before the Brooklyn Nets even existed. And now, obviously, I would love to see a Porzingis with a Kevin Durant or something, even though it's a silly doubt that's going to happen. But I would tell you, watch out for the Brooklyn Nets. They got a plan in place, and we shouldn't summarily dismiss what they're aiming for because they might be able to pull it off. Stay tuned. By the way, one of the assistant coaches is very, very friendly with Kawhi Leonard. They were having dinner the other night together. One of the assistants for the Brooklyn Nets. So I just wanted to put that out there. Anyway, I watched the Los Angeles Lakers play a game and lose last night to the Houston Rockets. 126-111. James Harden dropped 50. 50. Had a triple-double, too. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how long. I think there's been like 6 or 7 triple-doubles that involved 50 or more points. I think it was like in the last quarter century. James Harden has 4 of them in the last 2 years. 4. 50 points or more in the form of a triple-double. Assists, rebounds, etc. The brother's special, 50 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists. James Harden is special. He's unstoppable. Now, when I talked about my top 5 shooting guards, okay, obviously the top 2 would be MJ and Kobe. Put D-Wade on that list as well. James Harden's top 5 all time. The only reason why you wouldn't definitively put James Harden above that is because we all know he plays defense about as much as I enter a fitness contest, which is say 0. He doesn't really play defense. That's not what he does. But he is elite. He can play. I believe he can play a little bit of it when he puts his mind to it. But he's just so explosive offensively, who gives a damn, really? We really don't care. I tell you what I do care about. I care about something that happened last night with the Los Angeles Lakers that I think affects everybody, whether it's the Knicks, it's the Nets, it's Philly, it's Boston, it's Toronto, it's Houston, it's L.A. and beyond. The Los Angeles Lakers watched as James Harden basically converted 18 of 19 free throws. He ended up in the 2 meetings that he's had this year. James Harden by himself has shot 34 free throws. Shot 34 free throws. Now, let me tell you something about what the Lakers did. The Lakers, led by LeBron James, became so frustrated, they took their hands and put it behind their backs to play defense, just so the referees wouldn't call fouls. That's how disgusted they were. And they were so disgusted by it. And I got to tell y'all something. They were justified. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't encourage somebody not to compete. I don't encourage somebody not to go out there and try to win or whatever. But we have now gotten to a point. And by the way, that referee that you just saw on the screen when LeBron James had his back, his hands behind his back, that's the great James Capers, a phenomenal referee for many, many years. That's James Capers. But I will tell you this. My issue with it, more than anything else, too many calls are being made. I love the NBA game. Ain't no bigger fan of the NBA than me. But the referees interrupt action too much for too many ticky-tack fouls. And when you got your arms spread, and all James Harden or Chris Paul has to do is literally rock their arms back and forth with the ball in his hands and put their arm under your arm to act like they're coming up to shoot a shot and get a foul that way, I think it's utterly ridiculous. And it's not something that should be called. It's interrupting and interfering with the flow of the basketball game. I don't blame LeBron James enough for being that frustrated. I truly don't. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. We'll continue talking NFL, talking NBA. It's your boy back in the house, live from South Street Seaport, Pier 17, rooftop, Winterland, ice skating ring here, and all of that stuff. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. You're listening live to Stephen A. and ESPN Radio. By the way, fellas, it's the holiday season. Stop lounging around. Be active. Take your girl out. Go to a game or concert. Get tickets to something. Plus, it's still football season, and the time is now to jump on those tickets. For all your ticket needs, look no further than Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Go to Vivid